Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Oh my goodness. What a time. What a time. So I want to thank everyone for getting on early this morning. I know it's early here on the East Coast, 9:30. And so I do know it's like what, 6:30, 7:30 on the West Coast or Fernando, wherever you are, I think it's like what, 7:30?
It's 6:30, 6:30
6:30,
a.m.
6:30, yeah. So those
Great
on
morning. Happy Saturday.
Great morning, great morning. So everyone, if you could put in where you are coming in from, my name is Zena Edgehill. I will be reading today for you, and I hope we all get a lot out of this participation and, see how it applies to your everyday life or the things that can enhance you in your everyday walk. I know I will be paying attention also as I read. So I do see Fernando from Los Angeles, California. Good morning. Good morning. Again, I'm from the DMV area. And I see Lisa from New Jersey. Welcome. Charlotte Martin for Columbia, South Carolina. Welcome. And I do see quite a few. Hi, Monifa from Queens, New York. I see we have our leaders on the line. Michelle from Waldorf, Maryland, DMV area. Jameson, Cleveland, Ohio, and Lovey from Tampa, Florida. So thank you. And I do see Anna Rodriguez. Yes, I see leaders here. Wendell Phelps, miss you all, miss you and Anna so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. Let me go ahead and share my screen. No, I don't need to share it. I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm doing the presentation. Look at there. One moment. Let me get the book up. Okay, so right now we on chapter 2. See the other side. I know we finished that part and we were at the I, but I'm going to continue from the other side since that's chapter 2, and we're going to continue on. So chapter 2, I'm in the PDF. I do not know which I don't know which page it would be on the book. This is the PDF on page 36. Okay, so see the other side. If people can begin to see the truth, I then suggest to go to McDonald's, buy a burger, and sit and look at the system that delivered that burger. That note, the truckson delivered the raw burger, the rancher and that raised the beef, and the buyer who brought the beef, and the TV ads and that helped sell the beef. Notice the trainer of young, inexperienced people to say the same words. Hello, welcome to McDonald's, as well as the decor of the franchise. The original officers of the bakeries that bake the buns and the millions of pounds of French fries that taste exactly the same all over the world. Then include the stockholders raising money for McDonald's on Wall Street. If they can begin to understand the whole picture, then they can have a chance at moving to the BI side. The reality is, and there is a limited new idea, billions of people with services and products to offer, millions of products, and only a few people who know how to build excellent business systems. Bill Gates didn't build a great product. He brought somebody's else's product and built a powerful global system around it. So now I'm at the DI, investor. Investors make money with money. They don't have to work because their money is working for them. Then quadrant is the playground of the rich. Regardless of which quadrant people make their money, make their money in, if they hope someday to be rich, they ultimately must come to the I quadrant. It's in the I quadrant and that money becomes converted to wealth. Now, the cash flow quadrant. The cash flow quadrant simply makes distinctions on how income is generated, whether as an E, which is employee, self-employed, and business owner, or I, which is the investor. The differences are summarized below. So you have the E, you have a job. B, you own a system and people work for you. S is for, which was the self-employed, you own a job. The I, money works for you, that's for the investment. Opt and OP, I'm gonna say OPT and OPM. Most of us have heard that the secrets to great riches and wealth are OPT, other people time, OPM, other people's money. OPT and OPM are founded in the B and I quadrant. For the most part, people who work in the E and S quadrants are the OP, other people, whose time and money are being used. Now, a primary reason Kim and I took time to build a B type business rather than the S type was because we recognize the long-term benefit of using other people's time. One of the drawbacks to being a successful S is that success simply means more hard work. In other words, good work results in more hard work and longer hours. In designing a B type of business, success simply means increasing the system and hiring more people. In other words, you work less, earn more, and enjoy more free time. Now, the reminder of this book goes through the skills and mindset required for the right side of the cash flow quadrant. It's my experience that being successful on the right side requires different mindset and different technical skills. If people are flexible enough to make these changes, I think they'll find the process of achieving greater financial security and freedom easy. For other people, the process might be too difficult because many people are frozen in one quadrant and one mindset. At a minimum, you'll find out why people work less, earn more, pay less taxes, and feel more financially secure than others. It's simply a matter of knowing which quadrant to work out of them for you. Work out of them, of and when, excuse me. Now, a guide to freedom is where I'm at. The cash flow quadrant is not a set of rules. It's only a guide for those who wish to use it. It guided Kim and me from financial struggle to financial security and then financial freedom, where most of us are striving to get financial freedom. Now, the difference between the rich and everyone else, a few years ago, I read an article that said most rich people receive 70% of their income from investments, or the I quadrant, and less than 30% are from wages, or the E quadrant. If they were an E, chances are they were employees of their own corporation. Their income looked like this. So you have the E, which is 30%, and then you have the I, which is 70%. For most everyone else, the poor and the middle class, at least 80% of their income comes from wages from the E or the S quadrant, and less than 20% from investments in the I quadrant. Now, the difference between the rich and being wealthy, in chapter 1, I wrote that Kim and I were millionaires by 1989, but we were financially free weren't financially free until 1994. Now, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy, which is so true, I learned. By 1989, our business was making us a lot of money. We were earning more and working less because the business system was growing without any more physical effort and on our part. We had achieved what most people would consider financial success. However, we still needed to convert the cash flow coming from the business into even more tangible assets that would generate additional cash flow. We had grown our business into a success. Now it was time to focus on growing our assets to the point where the cash flow from all of our assets would be greater than our living expenses. Now, I just want to halt on that one right now, because this is something that, for me, that I was just talking about with another friend of mine, and they were talking about rich and wealth. So they're pretty stable with their business that they have, even, not even with social media or anything, but now they're growing their wealth because there's property after property, and also they investing in like stocks and bonds, and stocks and different things like that. So they're growing their wealth. So, it had me looking at, although we hear it, but to really, hear it and have it like dissected to you in different points where you can understand it. It's like you rather to be wealthy than to be rich. You can have both, because their business is working for them, but they still have bills and different things going on. Once they invested into assets and started looking at different stocks and different things to invest in, they became financially free. So that is wealth. Then, and I believe what our company is, what they're trying to do for us is to have us to see how to build wealth, opposed to just being rich or having money, because you can have money and be rich and still be in debt, depending on. So the wealth to me is definitely financial freedom. And then that's when you can definitely also leave a legacy, because you passing down your assets. Anyone else have any thoughts on that one as well? Okay.
Hi, Zena.
So, yes. Hi,
No,
Fernando.
yeah, you're absolutely right. What our company does, basically, it actually brings you from the two initial quadrants, which is either an employee,
Mhm.
self-employed. But as you learn to comprehend what we do, it really puts things in a proper perspective when it comes to building a business with a system and also investments. And I
Mhm.
think what the company is coming up with right now, most recent, is the precious metals and everything else that evolves around that the company already has. So anybody
Right.
that is here but is not a part of our platform yet, you can take a look after if you want to stay once we finish
Yes.
the reading club. And I guarantee you, you're gonna love what you're gonna hear. So it's information that we can all take and learn from. Thanks, Gina. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the input. I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so I'm gonna move forward. I just wanted to stop on that one and iterate. Okay, so by 1994, passive income from all of our assets was greater than our expenses. At that point, we were wealthy. Our business is considered an asset because it generated income and operated without much physical input. For our own personal sense of wealth, we wanted to make sure we also had tangible assets such as real estate stocks that were throwing off more passive income than our expenses before we climbed to be wealthy. Well, claim to be wealthy, excuse me. Once the income coming from tangible assets in our assets column was greater than the money coming in from the business, we sold the business to our partner. We were now wealthy. Whew, that's a dream. Right. The definition of wealth is the number of days you can survive without physical working or any else in your household physically working and still maintain your standard of living. For example, if your monthly expenses are $5,000 a month and you have $20,000 in savings, your wealth is approximately 4 months or 120 days. Wealth is measured in time, not dollars. By 1994, Kim and I were wealthy indefinitely, bearing great economic changes because the income from our investments was greater than our monthly expenses. Ultimately, it's not how much money you make that matters, but how much money you keep and how long that money works for you. Every day I meet many people who make a lot of money, but all of their money goes out the expenses column. Every time they make a little more money, they go shopping. They often buy a bigger house or new car, which results in long-term debt and more hard work. Nothing is left to go into the assets column. The money goes out so fast that they think they took some kind of financial laxative. Their cash flow patterns looks like this. So I don't know if some of you have the actual book, or the PDF, but it's showing like zigzag, like the job income, and then it goes to expensive and then liability and then comes out. So the assets is never touched because you're not investing. So the red line finances in the world of cars, there's a saying about keeping the engine at red line. Red line means the throttle. Did I say that right? Yeah, the throttle is keeping the RPM of the engine close to the red line. The maximum speed the car's engine can maintain without blowing up. Many people, rich and poor, operate constantly at the financial red line of their personal finances. To me, I'm just going to stop right here. To me, this is something that I would keep. I would read over and over just to get it, in my, it's like an affirmation to make certain that I'm staying on track and doing what I'm supposed to do. So where were I? No matter how much money they make, they spend it as fast as it comes in. The trouble with operating your car's engine at red line is that the life expectancy of the engine is shortened. The same is true with operating your finances at the red line. Several of my doctor friends say that one of the main problems they see today is stress caused by working hard and never having enough money. One says that the bigger cause of health disorders is something she calls cancer of the wallet. Wow. That's interesting. Money making money. Regardless of how much money people make, ultimately they should put some in the I quadrant. The I quadrant is where your money makes more money. It's based on the idea that your money works hard so you don't have to work. Although the I quadrant is important to your financial health. There are other forms of investing worth nothing. Other forms of investing, people invest in their education. Traditional education is important. The more education you have, the better your chances and may be to earn more money, depending on your choice of profession. Giving, and that the average person spends 40 years or more actively working. College or some type of higher education may be good investment. Giving your loyalty and best efforts to an employee is another form of investment. Now, in the return via contract, the employer is rewarded with a pension for life. This was a form of investment popular in the industrial age that is now almost obsolete in the information age. Other people invest in having large families and in turn have their children care for them in their old age. That form of investment was the norm in the past. Yet due to the economic constraints in the present, it has become more difficult for families to handle the living and medical expenses of parents. Government retirement programs such as Social Security and Medicare, which are often paid for through payroll deduction, are another form of investment mandated by law. Due to massive changes in demographics and costs, this form of investment will probably not be able to keep many of the promises it has made. And there are independent investment vehicles for retirement that are called individual retirement plans. Often the federal government will offer tax incentives to both the employee and the employee to participate in such plans. In America, one popular plan is the 401k retirement plan. In countries such as Australia, they are called superannuation plans. Annuation plans. Hope I said that right. Excuse me if you're from Australia and I'm saying it incorrect. Income received from investment, although the above are all forms of investing, the I quadrant focuses on investment that generate income on an ongoing basis in your working years. So to qualify as a person who operates as an I, use the same criteria used in all the other quadrants. Now, do you receive current income from the I quadrant? In other words, is your money working for you and generating current income for you? Let's look at a person who buys a house and an investment and rents it out. If the rent collected is greater than the expenses to operate the property, that income is coming from the I quadrant. The same is true for people who receive interest for saving or dividends from stocks and bonds. So the qualifier for the I quadrant is how much income you generate from the quadrant without working in it. In my retirement account, a form of investment. Regularly putting money into the retirement account is the form of investing. People, excuse me, in the E quadrant are most encouraged to take. Now, these retirement plans are not without risk, and even when they perform. The rate of return is never going to make you financially free. Most of us want to be investors when our working years are over. But for the sake of this book, the I quadrant represents a person whose income comes from investments during their working years. In reality, most people aren't investing in the retirement account. Instead, most are saving money in their retirement account, hoping that when they retire, they will be more money coming out than they put in. There's a difference between people who save money in their retirement account and people who, through investing, actively use their money to make more money and income. Now, are stockholders investors? So this is going to be interesting for me. Uh-oh. I just lost it. I'm sorry. Oh. One moment. Okay. Many financial advisors in the investment world are, by definition, not really people who generate their income from the I quadrant. For example, most stockbrokers, real estate agents, financial advisors, bankers, and accountants are predominantly E's or S's. In other words, their income comes from their professional work, not necessarily from assets and they own. I have friends who are stock traders. They buy stocks low and hope to sell high. In reality, their profession is trading. Much like a person who owns a retail shop and buys items at wholesale and sells them at a retail. And there's still something and they physically must do to generate the money. So they would fit more into the S quadrant than the I quadrant. Can all of these people be investors? The answer is yes. But it is important to know the difference between someone who earns money from commission, sells advice by the hour, or tries to buy low and sell high compared to someone who earns money from spotting or creating a good investments. Now, there's one way to find out how good your advisors are. Ask them what percentage of their income comes from commission or fees versus the percentage that comes from passive income from their investments or other business they own. I have several CPA friends who tell me, without violating client confidentiality, excuse me, they that many professional investment advisors have title in the way of income from investments. In other words, they don't practice what they preach. Advantages of income from the I quadrant. So the primary distinction of people who earn their money from the I quadrant is that they focus on having their money make money. If they're good, their money make money. Now, if they're good at it, they can have the money work for them and for their family for hundreds of years. Besides, the obvious advantages of knowing how to make money with money and not having to get up and go to work. Now, there are also many tax advantages that aren't available to people who have to work for their money. One of the reasons the rich get richer is because they can make millions and pay legally little or no tax on that money. And that's because they make money in the assets column, not in the income column. So I'll let that marinate. So they make money in the assets column, not the income column. Okay. They make money in as investors, not workers. Moreover, people who work for money are often taxed at higher rates than investors, and their taxes are withheld from their wages. They never even see that portion of their income. I'm gonna stop there because I thought that was so that really wow. What page is this? I like where they said, okay, the rich get richer, of course, and they be pretty much wealthy, right? Because they're making money in the not the income column, but they're making money in the assets. So apparently there are different types of columns. So what they can do is they are not having to pay taxes. So they're eliminating the taxes because all of their assets is in the assets column. So that's pretty much what we all on this call, or whoever, wherever you are, and you hear us on YouTube, that's what we need to strive for and work into, especially with an economy like this right now. Whether you invest low, invest in some stocks. And, as Coach Fernando said earlier, again, after this call, you're going to see a lot of different things that you can invest in and start your assets from there. This is passing your legacy down. So this is how the wealthy, I'm not going to even say rich, the wealthy pass down assets because they have they pretty much pass down everything that they own. So it's just going to be continually the hundreds of years, keep on passing it. So that's how the wealthy stay wealthy. Anyone else have any input? Oh, I see a hand. Okay.
Yes, Sina, I wanted to add this because I've been doing network marketing for 31 years. And I think it gives anyone a chance to be able to build your first asset. And I call it residual income, right? So, and then I learned this saying that has stuck with me for so many years, which is the bigger your network, the bigger your net worth. Okay, so once you have enough leverage of an asset, which is people, and it surpasses your expenses, now you can start looking into other ways of investing, right? Now we have another tool, which is OPM, other people's money to create assets. So if you have a network, how much is your network worth, right? So the first thing, if you don't have right now an asset or money to invest in an asset, build a network. And we have a table that Mr. Tolson shared with us the other day, and he made a comparison. If you want to have if you want to have an income of $150 a month, passive income, okay, $150 per month, there's two ways to get it. You either have $36,000 sitting somewhere at 5% rate of return that you can invest, or go find a handful of people that are willing to become a part of the platform, which are four plus you five. Now you have a rate of return of $150 a month. So what's quicker? And these are the decisions that this book allows you to do. Robert
Yeah.
Kiyosaki even stated, he goes, if I would start, something all over again, it would be network marketing. Why? Because there is such a small investment to start with, but now you gotta get creative to be able to incentivize other people to see it the way you see it, so you can start growing your network to have
Mhm.
eventually your net worth grow. So that's one of the things that I like about what we do. Like I said, it gives everybody a chance, and then
Yeah.
eventually you can start to diversify. So I do have an asset in our pay compensation plan. I made a one-time investment of 249.97, and it has already generated us a six-figure income. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
eventually we'll get the time to start diversifying even more. So it's just a little perspective of what we're
Yeah.
talking about here today. Thank you, Zena.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else before I move on? Other than Coach Fernando? I know. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna carry on. Why aren't more people investors? Okay, the I quadrant is the quadrant for working less, earning more, and paying less in taxes. So why aren't people investors? The reason is the same reason many people don't start their own business. It can be summed up in one word: risk. And that's so true. A lot of people don't take risks. I know that firsthand. Like you were just talking about Coach Fernando about the investment of the 249.97, and they hear that it's like, oh, how much can I make it, instead of trying to see how you can work it to make it work for you. So carry on. A Hollywood a celebrity once said, it's not it's not the return on an investment that I worry about, it's the return on investment. It's not return on the investment that I worry about, it's the return of the investment. Okay. Now, and this fear of losing money seems to divide investors into four broad categories. So, one, people who are risk averse and do nothing but play it safe. So we know a lot of those play it safe, keeping their money in the bank. Two, people who turn the job of investments over to someone else, such as a financial advisor or a mutual fund manager. Three, gambles. Four, investors. The difference between a gambler and an investor is simple. For a gambler, investor is a game of chance. For an investor, investing is a game of skill. And for the people who turn their money over to someone else to invest, investing is often a game they don't want to learn. The important thing for these individuals is to choose a financial advisor carefully. Later in this book, I'll go into the 5 levels of investors, which should shed more light on the subject. So I'm at risk can be virtually eliminated. So the good news about investing is the risk can be greatly minimized or even eliminated, and you can still receive high yields on your money if you know the game. A true investor wants to recoup his or her money quickly. People who have a retirement account have to wait years to find out if they'll ever get their money back. Now, this is the most extreme difference between a professional investor and someone who sets money aside for retirement. It's the fear of losing money that causes most people to seek security. Yet, the I quadrant is not treacherous as many people think. The I quadrant is like any other quadrant. It has its own skills and mindset. The skills to be successful in the I quadrant can be learned if you're willing to take the time to learn. Now, I'm at a new age begins. Okay, in 1989, the Berlin Wall was torn down and was communism. Now, this, in my opinion, single of the end of the industrial age and the start of the information age. The difference between the industrial age pension plans and the information age pension plans, the voyage of Column in 1942 roughly coincides with the start of the industrial age. Now, the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, in the event that marked the end of the age. For some reason, it seems that every 500 years is marked in history, great catalytic, excuse me, changes occur. We're in one such period right now. Now, that changes has already threatened the financial security of hundreds of millions of people, most of whom are yet aware of the financial impact of that change, and many of whom can't afford it. Now, the change is found in the difference between the industrial age pension plan and an information age pension plan. When I was a boy, my rich dad encouraged me to take risks with my money and learn to invest. He'd always say, if you want to get rich, you need to learn how to take risks. Learn to be an investor. At home, I told my educated dad about my rich dad's suggestion that we learn how to invest and manage risk. My educated dad replied, I don't need to learn how to invest. I have a government pension plan and a pension from the teachers union and guarantee Social Security benefits. Why take risks with my money? So that's the average person thinking, pretty much. My educated dad believed in industrial age pension plans, such as government employee pension and Social Security. He was happy when I signed up for the U.S. Marine Corps. Instead of being worried that I might lose my life in the Vietnam. He simply said, stay in for 20 years and you'll get a pension and medical benefits for life. Although still in use, such as pension plans are becoming obsolete. The idea of a company being financially responsible for your retirement and the government picking up the balance of your retirement needs through pension schemes is an old, outdated idea, which is so true. So I know it's 10:14. I'm gonna read this last page and then we're gonna recap. People needed to become investors as we move from defined benefit pension plans, or what I call industrial age retirement plans, to defined contribution pensions plans, or information age plans, pension plans. The result is that you, as an individual, must now be financially responsible for yourself. Amazingly, few people have noticed the change and understand its ramification. Now, the industrial age pension plans. In the industrial age, a defined benefit pension plan meant that the company guarantee you, the worker, a defined amount of money, unusually paid monthly, for as long as you live. People felt secure because their plans assured a steady income. So I'll read the information age pension plan, since I did mention that. The information age pension plan, but in 1974, the rules changed with the passage of Employee Retirement Income Social Security, which is the ERISA. Suddenly, companies were no longer guaranteeing financial security at the end of your working days. Instead, employees began offering defined contribution retirement plans. Defined contribution means that you only get back what you and the company have contributed while you were working. In other words, your pension is defined solely by what has been contributed. If you and your company put no money in, then you get no money out. The good news is that in the information age, life expectancy has increased. The bad news is that you might outlive your pension if you even have one. So, I will stop there, because you're going into the risky pension plan. Oh, I guess I can go a little further. It's 1017. Okay, so let's go over the risky pension plan. Well, let's go over first the industrial, if anyone has any input. And if not, then I'll move forward. Okay. Okay, so I'll go into the risky pension plans. Okay. What many people don't understand is that whatever you and your employee put into the plan is no longer guaranteed to exist when you decide to pull it out. Now, this is because plans like the 401k and the superannuation, hope I'm saying it right, are subject to market forces. In other words, one day you could have $1 million in the account, but if there were a stock market crash, whichever market occasionally has, your millions of dollars could be cut in half or even wiped out. With defined defined contribution plans, the guarantee of lifelong income is gone. People today who retire at the age of 65 and begin to live on their defined contribution plan could run out of money by, excuse me, let's say age 75. And then what do? Dust off the resume. And what about the government's defined benefits pension plan? Well, in the United States, Social Security is expected to be bankrupt by the year 2037, with Medicare bankrupt by 2017. Even today, Social Security doesn't provide much in the way of income. What will happen when 77 million baby boomers become to what the money they paid in, but it's not there? In 1998, President Clinton's popular cry of save Social Security well as received, yet as Democrat Senator Ernest Hollings pointed out, obviously, the first way to save Social Security is to stop looting it. Now, for decades, the federal government has been responsible for borrowing the retirement money for expenditures. A government sanctioned Ponzi scheme. Many politicians seem to think that Social Security is income and that can be spent rather than an asset that should be held in trust. So there you go. That's what's going on with us as the baby boomers. Wow. Okay, too many people counting on the government. I write my book and create products. I'm gonna stop there because it's 10:21 and I have to also go to the airport. So let's talk about the let's talk about this book, this chapter, what I read, whatever really grabbed your attention. Let's hear from some others as well. I think this is so informative, and this is like for us for today, for right now, what is going on, and even worse because of everything with the economy and things going up, the tariffs. So let's talk about it. Anyone else has anything to say?
Hi, Zena. Good morning.
Hi, Jamieson. How are you?
Oh, amazing, amazing read. Thank you very much for reading
Thank
this.
you.
And just those last few comments that you made about having a retirement plan or having a defined contribution plan. Number one, when they make the rules, and if you decide to change the rules and change your position, you basically pay lots of penalties to like access your money if you don't do it at the right time. And even when you do that, literally they make the rules of how you use your money. And it's kind of one of those crazy things that it sounded good when you were in your, in the HR signing up, or it sounded good, or the only options that you were left as an, let's say you were an investor and you wanted to put your money into something like that, you're stuck with certain plans that are limiting you. And one of the greatest things about like Robert Kiyosaki and Kim Kiyosaki and other investors are they want control of their asset and be able to decide and determine that. And going back to like baby boomers, which I can't technically am on the very end.
Yeah.
Retiring at 65. Okay, so there was a promise given, and they automatically took that money out of your account. You didn't have any choice. If you're an employee, they took it out. I mean, you could try adjusting your W-4. You could try changing your taxes around, but there, no, even as a self-employed person, or as a self-employed person, they take out double that. They take out the employer side and the employee side. It's like, wait a minute, that's a double hit.
Exactly.
And then at age 65, where's the money? Oh,
You're
the
right.
government looted it.
Yeah,
Everybody
right.
was dipping in,
Doing
and
all
you
those
had no
crimes.
say in that. You couldn't say stop it. You were out of control, and they
Right.
were out of control. And now you're left with this says he's saying that 2027 it's going to be gone. I don't know if it's going to last that long, because also the
Yeah,
population is getting smaller and there's less people contributing to it.
exactly.
So that
You get
projection
more
might even be,
entrepreneurs right now. They're
we're
getting
pretty
wise.
close to that projection. And I know, like, you're talking about the political environment right now. They're trying to save it by eliminating all the waste. They're trying, but I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Exactly.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Thank you for your input. Appreciate it. Always good. Always good. Anyone else? Anyone else? any baby boomers.
Hey,
So,
Zena,
yeah.
I'll contribute. I don't see any hands up. Talk about baby boomers. True, the baby boomers are basically, their retirement years. I think
Yeah.
the baby boomers is a wave of kids that was born where a lot of companies achieved wealth back in the what was it, after Second World War, when all
Mhm.
took place.
Yeah.
Mattel was a growing company. Gerber was a growing company because of the baby boomers. There was an explosion of kids in 20 years. What was that? I think 77 million is what was stated
Mhm.
here in the book.
Mhm.
And in normal cases, it's about 20 million kids that are born every 20 years.
Yeah.
So these kids right now are in retirement years. I don't know if I'm not part of it. I was born in 1969. I think you're a part of it, Zena.
No, I
Are
am
you?
a baby boomer. Proudly to
Okay.
say.
So a baby boomer right now, it's in retirement years. So what are people aiming in to achieve a career is insurance, some sort of benefits of plans that are able to catch some of that money that the baby boomers are moving as they're aging, right?
Mhm.
So I think if we rely on the system, because even Social Security has been affected because of the baby boomers.
Yeah.
So the baby boomer generation, it was a moving wave from childhood days all the way to retirement years now, where now we have to look at different avenues to be able to create assets. That's why I love real estate and I also love precious metals.
Mhm.
These are assets that no matter what the economy does, you have your asset guaranteed because you got property in one place and you got metals on the other.
Mhm.
Now the metals, it's God's money. It's not going anywhere. So my passion for what I've been doing for 31 years in this industry is to build enough cash flow from assets, right? We do have some, but we want to be able to grow it more. But the biggest asset we can invest in is people.
Mhm.
See, that's why I appreciate you, Zena, for investing your time in us. And everyone that has done
Yeah.
it and continues to do it, we thank you. Wendell, Anna, I mean, Wendell really stepped in the game to be able to create a model of how we should train people and work together. And he left that legacy for all of us to continue on Saturday trainings and things like that. So he's an asset to our organization. Jameson,
Yes.
Michelle, Lovey, everyone that is here, you are an asset.
Yes.
The biggest asset that we can contribute is in ourselves. So once we're able to do that, then we can work around tools and projects like we have, such as this incredible industry that gives us all a chance, which is sales and network marketing. So we got to study it though, and then we got to get good at getting along with each other and finding other like-minded people. Because once we become a community, remember, the bigger your net worth, the bigger your network. I'm sorry, the bigger your network, yeah, both ways works around. The bigger your network, the bigger your network. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Zine. I appreciate it. I don't know if
Thank
anybody has any
you.
comments. I know you got to go.
Yeah, no, I gotta take my daughter to the airport, but thank you
Hey,
so much.
congratulations, by the way. I saw those
Oh,
beautiful pictures of your daughter's graduation.
yeah, I'm really late. I have more to post, but I'll post them later. But thank
Well,
you, everyone. I appreciate your time. If you do, we have like 2 more minutes, and if anyone has any input they want to get on, and any of the other leaders or anyone, if you have insight. If not, I will say we have a phenomenal trainer and overview that's coming up next at 11 o'clock. So we have more than enough time to promote and get them on so they can see how they can start investing in assets through